Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into the world of microbusinesses with Chris Guillebeau's The $100 Startup.
Such a good one.
It really is. So have you ever, dreamt of turning your passions into profits? Without needing a ton of cash or a business degree?
It's about freedom, isn't it? This book really captures that. It's not just about, the money, though that's definitely a bonus. It's more about being your own boss, doing your own thing, building something you actually care about. And Guillebeau shows how achievable that is, really, for anyone.
Okay, so this whole $100 startup formula, it sounds almost too good to be true, right? What's the secret sauce? Is there a magic formula to these successful micro businesses?
Well, the book boils it down to a pretty straightforward equation. Passion, skill, plus usefulness equals success. Basically, take something you're already passionate about, something you're good at, and figure out how to make it valuable to others.
So it's less about inventing the next big thing and more about recognizing the potential in what you already know and are passionate about.
Exactly. It's about applying your unique skills and passions to a real need out there in the world. Take Jaden Hare, for example. She turned her love for Asian cuisine into Steamy Kitchen, that super popular cooking show and website.
Oh yeah, I love Steamy Kitchen. Her recipes are my go-to. It's amazing she started with only what, like $200?
I know, right? And then there's Megan Hunt. She combined her love for weddings with her incredible dressmaking skills and created this thriving business making custom wedding gowns.
Okay, so the key takeaway here is that you don't necessarily need a revolutionary idea, just a fresh perspective on your existing passions and skills. But let's be real, starting a business can be super intimidating.
For sure.
You hear all the time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough experience, or even my idea isn't unique enough. So how does the $100 startup address these common fears and hurdles?
Well, those are all totally valid concerns, and I think it's really refreshing how the $100 startup tackles them head on, with real-life examples of people who overcame those exact obstacles.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Give me those success stories, the ones that really jumped out at you.
All right, well, one that comes to mind is Michael. He lost his corporate job, was feeling a bit lost, and a friend offered him, get this, a truckload of leftover mattresses.
Wait, mattresses? Seriously? What do you even do with a truckload of mattresses?
Right, sounds crazy, but he started selling them on Craigslist and ended up building this, surprisingly profitable business, supported his whole family.
Wow, Mattress King, they called him? Who knew? So it seems like those who find success in the microbusiness world are the ones who see potential where others might not, yeah. But what about starting a business during, say, a recession? That sounds like a recipe for disaster, right?
It definitely sounds risky, but Guillebeau tells this story of Sarah, who opened a yarn store during an economic downturn. And what seemed like terrible timing was actually a really smart move.
I'm intrigued. How so?
Well, she'd been a shopper for years, and she knew exactly what the yarn store market was missing.
Ah, I see. She found that gap.
Exactly. She identified a need and filled it, proving that even in tough times, there's always room for success if you can solve a problem for your customers.
It always comes back to that, doesn't it? Finding that need and meeting it effectively, no matter what's happening in the world. Being resourceful, recognizing that challenges can often present opportunities.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you don't even necessarily need some flashy skill set. Guillebeau talks about Perna, who made a killing, like 6 figures, by teaching people how to use Excel.
Excel, you're kidding. That just proves that any skill, even the ones you might not think twice about, can be profitable.
Totally. It's all about finding that niche, crafting an offer that's irresistible, and connecting with the right people.
Okay, I'm hooked. This whole finding your niche and crafting an irresistible offer, that's where it gets strategic, right?
100%. And Guillebeau, he really dives deep into this. He emphasizes that to build a successful micro business, you have to really understand your ideal customer. Who are you trying to reach? What are their needs, their wants? What are their pain points?
So it's more than just those traditional demographics, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's about going deeper.
Way deeper. This is about tapping into what he calls new demographics.
Yeah.
Their interests, their passions, even their skills.
So it's not enough to know that, say, my ideal customer is a 30-year-old woman living in a city. I need to know what she's passionate about, what her goals are, what makes her tick.
Exactly. Once you have that deep understanding, then you can craft an offer that truly resonates with them, something they can't refuse.
And that's where selling benefits over features comes in.
Right, exactly. People don't buy products or services. They buy solutions to their problems, improvements to their lives, a way to get closer to their dreams.
It's about painting that picture, that transformation. And Guilbeault uses some fantastic examples in the book to really illustrate this point, doesn't he?
He does. One that stands out is V6 Ranch. They've absolutely nailed this concept. They're not just selling horseback riding, they're selling the whole experience of being a cowboy.
That's such a good one. It's about selling the feeling, the transformation, that escape. You're not just buying a horseback ride, you're buying a whole Wild West fantasy.
Exactly. And remember Chris Murray, we mentioned her earlier. Initially, she struggled to make her childcare business profitable because she was focusing on daycare centers.
Right.
But then she shifted her focus to corporate childcare providers, the ones who could actually afford her rates.
And bam, just like that, by choosing a different target audience, her income shot up.
It's amazing what a difference the right audience can make.
So important.
And Guilbeault, he gives some really practical advice here. He suggests actually asking your audience what their biggest problems are, and then, of course, tailoring your offer to solve those specific problems.
So simple, yet so effective.
He also recommends offering a range of prices, like a budget option, a middle-tier option, and then a premium option. That way you can cater to different budgets and preferences.
I love that. Give people options. Everyone wins. But okay, let's say you've got your offer, you know your ideal customer like the back of your hand. What's next? How do you actually get it out there in the world?
That's where the rubber meets the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Guilbeault, he's all about what he calls the action bias. Basically, don't wait around for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. Just get started.
I love that. It's so easy to get stuck in that analysis paralysis, endlessly planning and tweaking, but never actually taking action. Did he share any stories about, entrepreneurs who really embraced that action bias and saw amazing results?
Oh, tons. He talks about Jen and Omar, who turned a $500 investment and their love of travel into this crazy successful map-making business.
No way.
Yeah, and they didn't overthink it. They just started creating,
Yeah.
They adapted their approach as they went along based on what their customers were telling them.
It's like that saying, right? Done is better than perfect. Sometimes you just got to put your work out there and let the market guide you. Were they always, set on being entrepreneurs, or did they kind of fall into it?
That's what's so interesting. Guilbeault found that a lot of these micro business owners, they didn't start with some big entrepreneurial vision. They became what he calls accidental entrepreneurs.
Accidental entrepreneurs. I like that.
Right. They kind of stumbled into it, often out of necessity or just this desire for something different.
That's so inspiring, though. You don't have to have it all figured out from the get-go. You can be open to opportunities, take risks, and see where it leads. Any examples of that accidental entrepreneur journey?
Definitely. He talks about Scott McMurrin, who at the time was working in media sales and hosting a travel show up in Alaska. And this friend, kept bugging him to start a business together.
Oh, I've been there. That persistent friend with the $1 million idea.
Right. And finally, Scott was just fine, let's do this. More out of exhaustion with his routine than anything else.
So he wasn't actively looking for a business opportunity, but he was open to trying something new.
Exactly. And, they end up launching this website called the Alaska Travelgram, offering independent travel advice to people visiting Alaska. And guess what?
It took off.
It became huge. Eventually became Scott's full-time gig.
Yeah.
Talk about a happy accident.
Wow. What a story. Okay, so you never know where life will take you, right? Especially if you're open to new experiences. But let's, zoom in a little bit. I want to talk more about that compelling offer. What does that really look like? What makes an offer irresistible?
Okay, imagine this. You're running a marathon, right? You're at mile 18, and someone offers you a slice of orange.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that.
Right. When you're exhausted and you're pushing your limits, something as simple as a slice of orange can feel like a lifesaver. It's exactly what you need in that moment.
It's the perfect solution to a very specific problem.
Exactly. And that's what a compelling offer is. It's about knowing your customers so well that you can offer them a solution that feels tailor-made for them, especially when they need it most.
Okay, so how do we translate that to, the business world? How do you create that slice of orange moment for your customers? How do you make them an offer they can't refuse?
Guilbeault has a bunch of different strategies, but one of the big ones is this idea that what people say they want and what they actually want, those are often two totally different things.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Think about airline travel. Passengers are always complaining about crowded planes, right? The cramped seats, the whole experience.
Oh, yeah, the joys of air travel.
Right. But If airlines offered more spacious planes with fewer passengers, would people actually pay for it? Maybe not. They might grumble. But at the end of the day, they're often willing to sacrifice comfort for a cheaper fare.
So it's not always about giving people what they say they want on the surface, but understanding what they truly value.
Exactly. Another strategy Guilbeault talks about is being on the lookout for, like
Mhm.
inefficiencies in the market. Find those gaps and then create solutions that address them.
He uses Priceline.com as an example, right?
Perfect example. They capitalized on the inefficiencies of those old hotel booking systems.
Right.
People could suddenly access way lower rates than were typically available.
And then what's so interesting is that it created this whole new wave of businesses that emerged because of Priceline's lack of transparency.
Right.
Like offering services to help travelers figure out which hotels Priceline was actually working with.
It's like this chain reaction of innovation. Each new solution creates an opportunity for the next.
So it's not just about finding a need, it's about constantly iterating, improving. Can you give me some practical tips an entrepreneur can use to create that slice of orange, that irresistible offer their customers can't refuse?
So many. But a really good one is the power of the FAQ page.
The FAQ page, really?
Seriously, you got to anticipate your customers' questions, their objections, and address them proactively.
It's like you're diffusing those doubts before they even arise.
Exactly. Build that trust from the get-go.
Okay, I like it. What else?
The incredible guarantee, and I'm not talking about your standard refund policy here. This is about going above and beyond to create that sense of trust and confidence.
Okay, I've definitely seen a lot of guarantees out there, but what makes one incredible?
It's about making a promise, like a really bold promise, that shows how much you believe in what you offer. Guilbeault talks about a service that guarantees to get people out of debt or their money back.
Wow, that's a statement. You're putting your money where your mouth is. But what if you're in a business where, that kind of guarantee isn't really feasible?
Well, Guilbeault actually has a pretty interesting suggestion for that. Offer no guarantee at all and then make a big deal about it.
Wait, what? Seriously, how does that even work?
Okay, so it's like this. It positions you as this premium provider. It appeals to customers who are already confident in what you do and your expertise, and they don't need that safety net of a guarantee. It's like saying, my work speaks for itself.
It's a power move. So you're saying it's about really knowing your target market and what resonates with them. If you're going after those more discerning customers, that lack of guarantee, it can actually make you seem more desirable. Okay, what else?
Over-delivering.
Yeah.
Always over-deliver. Go above and beyond what your customers expect to create those wow moments.
Yes, I love that. It's those little extras, those personal touches, they can make all the difference.
For sure. Might be a handwritten thank you note, a surprise bonus, or just going the extra mile to provide amazing service. It's about creating an experience, not just a transaction.
Absolutely. Those personal touches, that's what builds loyalty, turns customers into walking, talking billboards for your business, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Guilbeault has a ton of tools and techniques for everything, from pricing strategies to launching your idea to building that long-term momentum. This is amazing. So much good stuff to unpack.
Okay, so we've talked about the heart of micro businesses, how to make an offer people can't resist, launching your idea, all of that. But before we go any further, I want to talk about the financial side of things. Because let's be real, this is where a lot of people get tripped up.
Oh, I hear you. It's definitely essential to wrap your head around the money stuff, right?
Yeah?
And luckily, Guilbeault dedicates a whole chapter to this, and it's full of great advice.
Okay, so lay it on me. What are the financial must-knows?
One of his biggest things is to price based on the value you're providing, not just your production costs.
Okay, so not just my time and materials, but the actual transformation I'm offering. We touched on this with the benefits over features thing, but I'm ready to go deeper. It's huge for profitability. And Guilbeault argues that so many entrepreneurs, especially when starting out, they undervalue their work. They're so focused on costs that they forget to factor in the real value they bring.
So how do you actually determine that value? How do you put a price tag on, transformation?
It's about understanding your impact. Are you solving a problem that's been bugging your customers forever, helping them reach a goal they thought was impossible? That's where the real value is.
And that's what justifies a premium price, because you're not just selling a product or a service, you're selling a solution, a result.
Exactly. He uses the example of Gary Leff, the frequent flyer consultant, charges a flat rate of $250 no matter how long it takes him to book a trip.
And I bet his clients happily pay that because they're not just getting a plane ticket, right? They're getting his expertise, his insider knowledge.
They're paying for those dream vacations, those seamless travel experiences. It's a good reminder to focus on the outcome, the transformation, not just the inputs.
Love that. Shifting your mindset from like cost plus to value-based pricing, that's huge. Didn't he also talk about offering a range of prices too?
Yes. He's all about giving your customers choices, but also maximizing your own profit. So instead of just one price, create different packages or tiers, each with different features or benefits.
So instead of one product, one price, I might have a basic package, a premium package, maybe even a super duper VIP package.
Exactly. That way you cater to different budgets, different needs. It's a win-win. Customers get to choose what suits them best, and you potentially make more money.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
He's a great example in the book. Imagine you sell 20 units of something. One scenario. Single price, $87. Total income, $1,740.
Makes sense. 87 bucks, 20 times, yeah, $740.
Now imagine those same 20 units, but with different price points. Some people go budget, some go middle of the road, some splurge for the premium.
Right, so you're capturing a wider range of customer.
And your income jumps to $2,664 just from changing how you structure your pricing.
Wow, okay, that's a big difference.
Right. It shows how a few tweaks to your pricing can totally change the game. And it's not about being like pushy. It's about giving options.
Totally. So options are good. Got it. What else?
Another gem. Aim to get paid more than once for the same thing.
Okay, he's talking about recurring revenue, right? Like
Yeah.
subscriptions, memberships, that kind of thing.
Yes, recurring revenue is the best. Consistent cash flow means you can focus on your existing customers, building those relationships instead of constantly hunting for new sales.
It's about having that stable base, that income you can rely on. Did he have any examples of businesses rocking that model?
Oh yeah, Brian Clark, for example. He's got this company that provides online services, website themes, marketing advice, all that, and a huge chunk of his revenue, recurring subscriptions.
So instead of a one-time sale, he's created a system where customers pay regularly for ongoing access. Smart.
Super smart, and it's turned into a multi-million-dollar business.
Okay, that's amazing. It's really incredible how these financial strategies, they seem so simple, but they're so powerful. But what about actually getting the money to start? Even with the best strategies, funding's a hurdle.
Totally. And Guilbeault, he's a big fan of bootstrapping.
It's his draft.
Using your own savings, your own revenue to fund the business.
Ah, I see. So being resourceful, avoiding debt, especially in the beginning.
Exactly. But he also gets that sometimes you need a little extra. So he talks about some more unconventional methods that work well for smaller businesses. Ever heard of crowdfunding? Platforms like Kickstarter.
Oh, for sure. Kickstarter is a fantastic way to raise money from people who believe in your project. It's like pre-selling your idea, building excitement.
And validating your idea. Guilbeault talks about Shannon Oki, who used Kickstarter to raise over 12 grand to fund her craft publishing project.
That's amazing. It's so cool how people are using crowdfunding these days. Did you have any other, like, outside-the-box funding ideas?
He did. He tells this story about Emma Reynolds. She used a car loan to fund her consulting business.
Hold up, a car loan? How does that even...
She basically got the loan, pretended she was buying a car, and then used the money to invest in her business.
Wow. Okay, not sure I'd recommend that to everyone, but it just goes to show. Where there's a will, there's a way. Be creative, you know? Explore your options.
Exactly. And don't underestimate community fundraising. Guilbeault found that tons of successful micro-business owners, they tapped into their own networks, friends, family, colleagues, to get the funding they needed.
It's about building those relationships, that trust, and sharing your vision with people who believe in you.
It really does take a village.
Okay, so we've covered so much, but before we wrap up this deep dive, did Guilbeault find any common challenges, like recurring obstacles that these entrepreneurs faced?
Oh, absolutely. And the interesting thing is a lot of them weren't like external factors. It wasn't about competition or the market. It was more about the internal struggles of being an entrepreneur.
Interesting.
Like one of the biggest ones, finding that balance between freedom and structure.
Oh, yeah, that's the classic entrepreneurial dilemma. You want the freedom, the flexibility, but you also need some structure to stay on track.
It's a balancing act, for sure.
Yeah.
Guilbeault talks about the importance of routines, setting boundaries, having systems in place to streamline your workflow.
It's about designing a work life that, you know, actually works for you. Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And then there's that pressure to always be on, especially in today's world, it's easy to get caught in that cycle of checking emails, responding to messages, always being available.
Oh, yeah, the curse of the digital age.
Right. And Guillermo, he gets that. He really emphasizes setting boundaries, having designated work hours, and prioritizing self-care.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. He also talks about being mindful of social media. It's easy to get sucked into comparing yourself, chasing those likes and followers, but it's important to remember quality over quantity.
Build genuine connections, not just numbers.
Exactly. Another big one, isolation. When it's just you, it's easy to feel alone.
Especially in the beginning, before you've built a team, found your people.
For sure. And Guillermo's advice, seek out connections. Join online communities, go to industry events, even try a co-working space.
Find your tribe. Surround yourself with people who get it.
And build a support system outside of work, too. Friends, family, mentors, people you can turn to for support, guidance, even a little tough love when you need it.
Because let's face it, building a business, it's a roller coaster.
Totally. And speaking of roller coasters, staying motivated, that can be tough too. It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day and lose that initial spark.
It happens to the best of us.
Right. He says, go back to your why. That initial vision, the reason you started in the first place. What impact did you want to make? What kind of freedom were you looking for?
It's like a reset button,
Yeah.
right? Remind yourself why you're doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And celebrate those wins, no matter how small. Those little victories are what keep you going.
It's about the journey, not just the destination.
And most importantly, have fun. Guillermo reminds us that work shouldn't feel like a chore. Find ways to make it enjoyable, to bring some playfulness into what you're doing.
This has been amazing. Such a good reminder that entrepreneurship is a journey. It's going to have its ups and downs, but with the right mindset, a good support system, and a whole lot of passion, you can create an amazing business and a life you love.
Couldn't agree more. The $100 startup, it really shows that anyone with a dream and that willingness to put in the work can achieve some incredible things.
This deep dive has been a goldmine of practical advice, inspiring stories. So if you're feeling that fire, grab a copy of the $100 Startup and see what possibilities light up for you. And let us know what resonates with you. What are you going to try? We want to hear your aha moments. Until next time, happy hustling.